Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Star Watch, the weekly astrological transit report that I used to do on my channel. I'm super excited to be bringing this back. I know it's been several months since I've done one of these videos. I'm starting to feel more like myself. So just a quick personal update, just really fast. You know, one of the things that I've been kind of dealing with health-wise is just some really impaired brain function. It's been very, very challenging over the months to just do like normal things. Like for me, waking up and taking a shower would like take all the energy that I had, right? Waking up and making breakfast would take all the energy that I had. And, you know, so it was a lot more than I thought it was going to be, because last year it was a completely different type of healing process. This year, the lupus flare up, I don't even really want to call it lupus because we know it's not really that. We know it's like there's other things going on, right? So there's, it was just attacked so many other things going on, right? It wasn't just my kidneys, it was my heart, it was my lungs, it was my brain, and there were just a lot of things. And so I have been taking the time that I've needed to heal, and I'm starting to feel more like myself. I've been working with some great, natural doctors, homeopaths, and they're putting me on the right track or getting my brain function back. And so now I feel ready and prepared to like start doing these weeklies in time. So I'm going to probably just only start with the astrology on Wednesday, and then slowly we'll reintegrate, the weekly bump on Monday, and then we'll do the love readings on Friday. But I might need some more time on those. I'm still kind of getting back to a normal a normal place here where I can actually like do multiple things in a day. Because it was like one of those things, like I had to choose, like, do I want to cook dinner tonight or do I want to do tarot readings tonight? It was like that, like those were my options. Like I could only do one of those. Do I want to shower this morning or do I want to do a tarot reading? Like it was really like that. I mean, it really was. So, but now I can actually I'm starting to live more normally, which is really good. So anyway, I laugh, but it was like actually pretty serious. But you have to laugh, I think, sometimes through your processes and just say, you know what, universe, like it is what it is. And I'm ready to just accept the miracles that you have for me and accept the people that you bring in my path and accept the practitioners that can help me and the knowledge and the wisdom and the books and whatever that I can do and the meditations and all that. And I'll just, it just is what it is. So here we are. So we're doing the weeklies on Wednesdays now, back to regular scheduled programming, if you will. I hope you really enjoy this week. I think this week is going to be really fantastic with Jupiter in Aries. We've got the sun moving into Gemini. Really feel like there's going to be this, real pickup in energy, which will be really great. So let's go ahead and get into it, and I'll see you in a sec. Alrighty, let's go ahead and take a look at the transits for the week. So, big week. We have the sun moving into Gemini in the next couple of days. We have a waning moon coming off of that eclipse season, which was pretty intense. And I think that there's a lot of opportunity for a lot of action in places in our life where we really have not been feeling like we've wanted to take action, or we've been really insecure, or we've been really stressing ourselves out over, not knowing what we should do and where we should go and all the questions. It's important to remember that like we had tons and tons of stuff going on in Pisces, right? We have to remember that. And the Pisces energy is not about worldly ambition. That's not what Pisces is. Pisces is about surrender and letting things go and remembering you're detached, and detaching from things, remembering that everything is impermanent. And sometimes there can be a lot of loss that happens with Pisces. And Pisces is a very deep and dreamy and emotional place. And while we can have tons of creativity come through the Piscean archetype, it's more magical than that, and the magic and the material don't necessarily always match up. So sometimes when we come out of Pisces energy, we kind of feel like we're getting back to ourselves, especially when we have a big planet like Jupiter coming into Aries. And I think this is like a very grounding energy because it's instilling passion that may have felt like it was dead, right? Like it was the passion, the fire, the creativity, the drive, the willingness to like really put our hooks into something and run with it. It was kind of coming up short a lot with the recent transits and with the eclipses and everything, because we were probably distracted by a lot of other things. But now, like, we really do get to focus on ourselves. We really do get to focus on what's important to us and what matters. And because Jupiter is in this Mars decan of Mars ruled Aries, so we're kind of getting like a double whammy of Mars energy. And when we combine Mars and Jupiter, not to mention that we are going to be making our way into a Mars-Jupiter conjunction in this Mars. So we're going to have like all of this Mars stuff going on. And I love that for us as individuals, because this is going to be the kick in the butt that we really need to like get over that hill, get over that hump, and to really like embolden us in certain ways. Because sometimes with Neptune energy, and we also just kind of had that Venus Chiron conjunction going on in Aries too the past few days, and that can bring out like a lot of questioning of, well, if I do this, will I really succeed? And if I put myself out there, will people respond? And how will they see me? And will I do okay? And will I make money? And will people like it? And can be a lot of concern about what other people think with that. And Chiron, of course, is a planet of our pain and our suffering. And this has to do with how we really shine being in the sun decan. And, especially if we're doing something that's important for us, we do want it in certain ways to be well received, and we do want to be celebrated, and we do want to be acknowledged and validated in certain things. And so, but now, like, sometimes we get a little bit more insecure with those things. And then other times we're like, you know what, screw it, I'm just going to do it anyway. And I think we're making our way over that hump of saying, you know what, screw it, I'm going to do it anyway. I don't care what people think. I don't need the validation. I don't need someone to encourage me. Now I don't need it. Maybe I needed it a couple weeks ago, but now I've overcome that obstacle within myself, and now I'm ready. Now I'm ready to really put my best foot forward. And I'm excited to do that because I know that what I have is truly going to bring value into this world. And I suspect that this eclipse season, and again, I debated on whether or not I wanted to do these astrology readings during and before eclipse season. I still wasn't really feeling my best. I think I have a new remedy from my homeopath that has made such a difference in my brain function, because that was really, really compromised. And so I'm feeling better now, so that's why we're starting it now. But I'm kind of glad that I didn't do anything for the eclipse season, because I feel like we all had to go through that in our own very specific ways and not muddy it up with everyone's like perspectives and projections. Because what these things are, right? These astrological forecasts, it's a lot of projection going on. And I know that as an astrologer, like I get it. So I wanted to go through that free and clear, but also these eclipses really were beautiful for us to like let a lot of stuff go, to really purge ourselves of the stuff that's been holding us back. And I do think that there's that phrase, like what was holding us back, all of that sort of culminating, whether it was a relationship, whether it was a childhood trauma, whether it was a divorce we went through, whether it was, abuse that we endured, and really allowing that stuff to just be what it was without really judging it and without really writing a story about it, and allowing ourselves to become free from those things. And as the moon kind of comes off of this intensity, we're starting to feel more separate from those things. And we're starting to drift, but we're drifting in a way that is encouraging our growth. We're drifting in a way that is encouraging our expansion. Because again, when we are Jupiter-Mars and Mars-Jupiter conjunction going on, expansion is probably at the forefront of our mind all the time. Like, How can I make more money? How can I have a better romantic relationship? How can I improve my living in space or my living environment? How can I improve my lifestyle? How can I make my life just more happy? You know, how can I take myself from where I am and improve on this in some way, shape, or form? And it's not improvement based on dissatisfaction from where you are. It's just a desire to expand. And we have to remember that a lot of that has to do with source and spirit wanting to expand through us, wanting to experience all of the experiences that life truly has to offer, and that we are a vessel or a vehicle through which source can really do that. Now, Venus is going to be entering into the Jupiterian decan here. And I do have a feeling that there could be some really amazing things that happen for us as individuals before Venus moves into her rulership of Taurus. All right. Now she's going to be entering Taurus on the 28th. And so that's not quite this week. It's a little bit, we'll talk more about that next week. But, you know, she's going to be really offering us a lot in terms of placing special importance and special priority on the improvement of our life, right? So everything else aside, number one priority, what needs to happen to improve our life, or to improve this circumstance, or to improve whatever you have going on. And she's really going to highlight and accentuate that. Okay. Now let's talk about the sun moving into Gemini. I'm going to actually fast forward this clock a little bit. We're going to go like there. So technically this is late on May 20th. So the sun technically moves into Gemini on the 20th, and it comes into this conjunction with Mercury. Now, of course, Mercury is retrograde. Mercury is going to be going back into Taurus, and sun is, so they're sort of like crossing over one another. And this, I think, is going to feel really, really good. Our minds are going to be working, I don't want to say like on overdrive, because I don't feel that it's really that intense of a situation. It's just more, I don't know how to describe it. I'm like saying it's just like there's just a lot going on, but it's really, really creative. And I feel like your creativity is going to be so beneficial for you. Gemini season in general is a very creative season. I think we throw a lot of the creativity more toward like Leo sometimes, but Gemini is really like the life force of the zodiac, because when you really think about it, right? Aries is like where you're this infant child, you just kind of are firstborn, you know, and then Taurus, you're starting to nourish and breastfeed and things like that. And then Gemini is like the toddler years, right? It's the, I'm starting to walk around, I'm starting to learn, I'm starting to pull all the pots and pans out of the kitchen cabinets, I'm starting to open the doors, I'm starting to run away from my parents, I'm starting to learn, I'm starting to connect the dots of how everything goes together. This is really where you become truly independent and truly yourself in a lot of ways. So when Gemini season comes, we have this expansion of our curiosity, and it is our curiosity that enables us to move in new directions. And remember, that's being coupled with Jupiter and Mars, so there's this like really incredible urge to do this, to learn more things, to allow our curiosity to really guide us. And curiosity is often led by spirit, especially when the sun is in the Mercury ruled decan, because we know that Mercury is like the messenger of source, right? This is how all messages are delivered. So, you know, you really are being divinely guided here, and I would trust where your instincts are really taking you, because it may take you somewhere really weird, and you have to be willing to go to the weird places. You have to be willing to be like, I don't know why I'm curious in this. Like, I don't know why today I'm just randomly deciding to Google this. I've never thought about it before. I didn't even know this was a thing. And now all of a sudden I'm spending 4 hours and learning about it. Like, I don't know, because you don't know where this is really going. And the information that you may collect may actually be useful for you at some point in the future. So, you know, that's going to be a really, really beneficial thing for you later on. And I feel like it's going to spark things, because Gemini is all about making connections. So one little thing could lead you somewhere else, and this could lead you here, this could lead you there. And at the end of the month, there could be this whole culmination of all these like little things that all of a sudden comes together and is like, wow, I think I have like a whole new life plan for myself now. I think I have something that I really feel confident moving forward. And Gemini is so mutable and so flexible and so like, adaptable, that you really have so much wiggle room to do so many different things. And we don't want to limit ourselves in Gemini season. I think limitations are best for, limitations and discipline and things are much better in like earth energy times, like Virgo season, Taurus season, Capricorn season. That's where we can really like hunker down and get really good with structuring everything. But in air season, we have to let our minds we have to let them go where they need to go. You can still be disciplined in certain things, but I think too much discipline this month is going to be detrimental to the soul, because we're coming out of this weird, heavily Piscean time, and then now all this Aries energy, and Aries just wants to boom, it wants to go. So if we're like trying to do this whole like discipline thing, we're kind of like self-sabotaging a little bit by not allowing ourselves to really explore and to endeavor and to begin new kinds of ventures. All right, so this is supposed to be a playful time for us. It's supposed to be experimental and fun. And, there's no such a thing as a failure. There's no such thing as a loss. There's no such thing as something that doesn't have value here. Everything is going to have value. Every conversation, everything you learn, everything is going to culminate and add and benefit you in some way, shape, or form. I think generally speaking, in a lot of ways, this has the potential to just be a really great week as long as you embrace it. Now, some people are still going to be very uncomfortable with this because their mind is so just like still in that like holding back, fearful kind of thing. And Mars with Aries energy, Jupiter with Aries or Jupiter with Mars energy can be an expansion of anger. It can be an expansion of aggression. And you may notice people getting more aggressive, but again, that's just a projection of their own internal frustrations. So you have to be a little bit, compassionate toward those people. I'm not saying you have to put up with it, but to be compassionate toward them, and just in terms of the fact that they just really might not really know, right? They might not know that they're like projecting. They might not know that they are harboring some resentment, and there's really not a lot you can really do about that, and we've got that moon in Aquarius, even the moon through Capricorn, Aquarius and Pisces. This is like, it's not your problem, right? Next few days, anyone's problem is not your problem. You don't have to bear that burden. You don't have to bear that load. You don't have to be super empathic. You just have to be on your own track. That's really all you can do. And if you love people and if you want to be supportive, you can, but it's one thing to be supportive and it's another thing to like bear the burden. So we don't want you to be the one that has to bear the burden of someone else's stuff. That's definitely not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to free ourselves from as much as possible, because over the next few years, as Saturn transits Pisces, right, there's going to be even more space created within our lives, even more like giving up of a lot of stuff for the sake of receiving more in the years to come. So like we're in this massive transition period as individuals. I don't know. I feel like I want to do this whole big thing about the Saturn through Pisces, Saturn-Neptune conjunction in 25 and 26. I know it's like so many years away, but it's such a critical transit to understand because there's so much buildup to it. And as individuals, if we can know what's going on with that, it won't be as overbearing. I think a lot of people are going to not handle that transit very well. So, but we'll see. We'll see if we end up doing that. Let's go ahead and fast forward the clock just a little bit more so you can see there goes Mercury moving back into Taurus. Sun continues to progress in through Gemini. And I'm just kind of like, I'm looking at this Mercury, and one of the things that I had mentioned and will continue to mention, what's so special about these Mercury retrogrades this year is all three of them are, or I think there's actually four of them. The fourth one technically begins on December 29th, so it's kind of like very, very end of the year, but it starts in Capricorn. But what's interesting about these particular Mercury retrogrades is how they're going between air signs and then going back into earth signs. And it's that connection between the mental and intellectual realms and the earthly material realms, and how interconnected they really truly are, and how we can manifest things in the material realm with the power of the mental realm without having to really do a lot in between. Like there's kind of like, this notion that there's all these processes that have to exist in order to get from an idea form into actual reality, or into the physical reality rather. But this is kind of saying like, no, you don't really have to do that. You can actually skip a lot of the steps, mostly by doing the work in the mental realm. If you take the time, and sometimes time can be a long time, like if you take a year to align energetically with something, and then all of a sudden it happens, that is a possibility. But for us as human beings, we say like, no, you can't do that. You have to, do the work. You have to take the actions, and you have to go like this, and you have to, and Mercury's like, no, you don't have to. Like, let me show you. Let me show you how to do it. Let me show you. We can do this. We can practice. And this is like very magician-y, sorceress kind of energy. This is beautiful attraction energy. One of the things that Taurus teaches us is patience, and really taking time with things, and not rushing. It's more about like, I'm going to do things in my own time. And like, if you know a Taurus who's like that, like some of my Taurus friends, not all of them. I mean, this is not a blanket statement by any means, but some of my Taurus friends, they're like, the ones that when you're getting ready to go out, they're always the ones that are like taking forever to get ready. It's always like Pisces and Taurus. They just always just like take forever. There's like no sense of time at all. But at the same time, that's kind of how the universe works too. It's like, well, we want it to be right. We want it to be good. Like, of course, we're going to take our time with it. So Mercury here is not trying to push anything forward. Mercury here is telling us to like scale back our expectation of time in a really big way, especially because this is happening in the Saturnian decan of Taurus. But then, of course, Gemini is like, go, 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 go. And even this Aries energy is go, 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 go. And here's Mars getting ready to come into Aries. And it's like really ready to finish out this Piscean transit. It's like, get me out of here. I want to go into Aries where I can actually like make something really happen. But Mercury is like, you can do all that stuff and that's great. But you need to understand that all this passion and creativity and all these new ideas and all these wonderful things that are happening for you right now are actually happening as a in the meantime thing, right? It's in the meantime of your grand manifestation that you're ultimately working on, this grand vision that you have. All this stuff is just kind of filler, and it will lead you there. I'm not saying it's useless. It's not useless. It's definitely useful. It will lead you there. It will take you there, but it's not really the means by how all this is really happening. All of this is really happening through a more alchemical, more magical process than that. And so this is supposed to be fun. So please do not stress yourself out with the creation of these new ideas. Please do not stress yourself out with these risks that you perceive as risks, right? They're not really risks. This is the game. This is fun. This is about joy. This is about engaging with opportunity and taking hold of things and allowing yourself to swing from tree to tree and just see where you end up. And I think that more explorative, that more open-mindedness is really, really, really going to serve us really well. And hopefully you can engage with that. Hopefully you can embrace that, because the people that don't, I think they're going they're going to feel, it's like one of those things when you feel that need for expansion, but then you don't because you cower, and then you get resentful toward yourself, and that can be a lot of toxic buildup. So we're not trying to do that. That's not really the plan. That's not what we're trying to do. So let's just go ahead a couple more days. There's Mars entering into Aries there on the 24th, which is next Tuesday. And that will feel, same moon coming in. Oh man, I think emotionally we're just going to be really feeling it. I think, again, it could go both ways. Some of us could be feeling super optimistic and feeling super great. And then others of us are going to be like angry and quick and heated temper and all of that stuff. And, there could be some more aggressive conversations and things like that. But ultimately, I don't know. I think this is the fire that we've really been needing, that we've really been wanting, that's ultimately going to enable us to feel like we're ready to go. Okay. We have to remember too that Saturn is starting to slow down. It's going to be doing his retrograde on June 4th at 25 degrees. So seriously, Saturn is just like really, really, really barely moving here. This could be one of the reasons why the markets probably aren't going to be, I think once Saturn starts going retrograde, we'll see some improvement in the markets a little bit. I'm not here to make financial predictions or whatever, but like when I was looking at this and I was looking at the crash of the markets and the crypto market and stuff, I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We've got Saturn and the Venus decan of Aquarius. We had Venus conjunct Chiron. We had all the Pisces energy, all this Neptunian energy. Like we had the eclipses and the money signs. And we had Uranus involved. It was like there was no way that the markets were going to be favorable through the month of May. Like there was just absolutely no way. So I think we'll see some, at least stabilization or some increase later on in June. But even still, Venus is going to be coming in contact with Uranus in the North Node. So it's still like really up in the air. So we'll see. I don't like to make financial predictions or anything like that, but there are certain things that are kind of pretty obvious there. But so Saturn is slowing way down. And once Saturn starts going retrograde at the beginning of June, I think we will start feeling like we get to revisit the structure in our life, revisit our discipline, and, apply discipline to all this creativity that's really coursing through us, and apply our newfound principles of how we want to live our life, apply our boundaries in certain ways so that we can really shine and that we can really put, again, rubber to the road and get some traction and make things really happen. I think starting the year off with the Venus retrograde conjunct Pluto in Capricorn and then getting hit with so much Piscean energy, it kind of slowed a lot of things down in a way that we weren't like super ready for, or that we maybe didn't really like all that much. And it was good because sometimes we need to be forced to slow down. We need to be forced to disconnect a little bit. We need to be able to take a step back and reassess and rest. And maybe we needed the rest in order to really launch forward at this time. So I think it's going to be a really good June as we, end of May, beginning of June. I think the energy is going to be right. I think we're going to be feeling better. We have a lot of reasons to be very optimistic about where this path is taking us. There are promises of great abundance in the tarot readings for June. So I think we're going to be feeling good. All right, at least I hope so. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. Thank you so much. You guys know how much I love you, and we'll talk to you soon.